What's up, folks? It's finally happened. JT Tuimoloau has committed to Ohio State after 16 long, excruciating months of waiting for the country's top-ranked defensive lineman and the country's top-ranked prospect, according to 247sports.com. It's time. JT Tuimoloau is a Buckeye. Spencer, how does it feel to just exhale?
It feels kind of relieving for us because there's no more reading tea leaves that don't exist. There's no more, frankly, we don't have to plug other people's work anymore. We don't have to kind of decipher what things mean based on no prior information. It's very nice. It's very nice. And just to have it done and over with, and to have him as a member of the Ohio State roster in 2021, where he's going to make an immediate impact, is also very huge.
Yeah, and again, I said it's been 16 months here. Ohio State's been the leader for 16 months in this recruitment. And coming out of the official visit over the June 18th through the 20th weekend, the buzz from the Buckeyes coaching staff and people around that program was that they felt cautiously optimistic, but there was a major concern coming out of that visit that there was Bama lurking. And when the Bama visit got canceled, obviously that feeling kind of goes from cautiously optimistic to optimistic, because you knew then that you were competing against really Oregon with USC and Washington on the periphery. And the total combination of things that Ohio State had for JT Tuimoloau and his family is really what this is about. It's about alignment. It's about alignment on the defense and how he fits into a 4-3 front. It's about alignment with Larry Johnson and the vision to getting him to the NFL as a defensive end. And it's about alignment with Ryan Day and his family feel and the vision that he has for what these kids should be on and off the field in Columbus. And from talking to people following that visit, there was a vibe that really Ryan Day and his family connected with JT Tuimoloau and his family, not necessarily on a football level, but there was a very purposeful intention to make sure that Nina Day and Ryan Day's children and all the people in his family were around JTT and his family. And I think that that's ultimately what won the day here, was that it was just a perfect combination of every little thing in sports and in media, where now we talk about these, verticals, right? Like, okay, well, these are three verticals aligned all perfectly, on the field, off the field, and of course, the opportunity to get to the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Ohio State did a hell of a job in that official visit. Really, we talked about it, how Ohio State couldn't really screw up as long as they were Ohio State and they were authentic. It was going to go well. I think Ohio State went above and beyond during that visit, like you said, making sure that family atmosphere. I think probably a little bit of conveying that the culture of style of family that JT Tuimoloau grew up in. There are other guys of Polynesian culture on the Ohio State roster. I think that probably played a factor, knowing that other guys who have family balances like he does have also thrived in this system. That has to play a factor. You can point to so many different factors in this recruitment, and everywhere along the way Ohio State was in the lead, and it never felt like Ohio State lost a little bit of an advantage. I think that is a credit to Larry Johnson. I think it's a credit to Ryan Day. It's a credit to Ohio State being able to pivot to the Zoom era and making sure that contact was still made. And now he's a Buckeye, and that defensive line room all of a sudden looks scarier and scarier, and a little bit of pressure is off for the 2022 class, which I'm sure we'll get to shortly.
Yeah, and the real truth here is that Ohio State thought that they were going to land Wilfredo Ibar, the defensive end from Connecticut, who ended up flipping to Stanford after an official visit with the Cardinal. He had told the Buckeyes that he was coming to Columbus. And so there was a thought that he was that JTT's addition would not be as necessary for the future. Even let's say you missed on him, it was going to suck, obviously, but it wasn't going to be something where all of a sudden you were down two different guys in that room. There's a lot of defensive line attrition coming after this season, and to get JT Tuimoloau on campus now, he'll be in town in the next week or so and begin his class load at Ohio State and preparing and working with the football team. This is a kid who's going to contribute at Ohio State as a true freshman, whether or not that's in a regular set, whether or not he's playing 25, 30 snaps a game to start the season. I would doubt it. But if you can get him in there for 10 to 15 snaps a game and just let him go after the quarterback, all of a sudden you have an additional element to the defense. And you think about next year, really think about next year when you're likely to lose Zach Harrison. You know you're going to lose Tyreek Smith. You know you're going to lose Tyler Friday. You could potentially lose Javonte Jean-Baptiste. There is a need here for two guys to really emerge on the defensive end for Ohio State. And now you have Jack Sawyer and JT Tuimoloau who are going to be able to work together, grow together. And it's sort of like having Nick or Joey Bosa and Cam Hayward on the field at the same time, which you're talking about two guys that can play a lot of different positions, move around the line, and impact you from every angle on the defense.
Yeah, and then that's not even thinking about the talent that's on the interior. That Jack Sawyer and JT Tuimoloau all of a sudden for the next 3 years are going to draw a lot of attention on the outside. But we've seen the way that works in the Ohio State defense, what it allows those interior guys to do, and you really start to think about what this means, not just for the 2021 class, not just for the 2021 roster, but for the future of the program and the way this defense is going to be constructed for the next few years. And it is in very good hands knowing that JT Tuimoloau and Jack Sawyer can be on the field together for 3 years.
Yeah, it's flexibility. That's what Larry Johnson loves. He loves to have these types of defensive linemen at 6'5", 277 pounds that have the ability to play on the edge, can move inside and play in a 3-tech spot, and then move to the other side. I mean, that's really what this is about. And that sort of flexibility and the ability to pinpoint for JT Tuimoloau and his family what got these other players to the NFL, and to be able to break down JTT's film with him is something that I've heard other defensive linemen talk about throughout the month of June. Was that it was neat to them that Larry Johnson would break down their film, not just showing them film of Joey Bosa. Like he would work on their high school film and say, this is what you're doing, and this is how I will make you better. And there's no doubt that for JT Tuimoloau, who from the very start of his recruitment, the focus has been which coach is going to get me to the NFL, which coach is going to turn me into the monster defensive lineman that I know I can be. And it's been Larry Johnson from the start. And so for Larry Johnson now to go out and win that one, Larry operates in silence in a lot of ways. And I don't think it's a coincidence that he recruits a lot of these players that don't like to talk and aren't out there making themselves the big center of attention. The Bosas, I mean, you look back to the Bosa brothers, neither of them did like any of the camps, the opening, the Under Armour stuff. They didn't do any of those things. They just showed up, kicked ass, and left. And that was really the entire idea. And for JT Tuimoloau, that has been the model. That's what they're looking at, and that's why Larry Johnson won this battle.
Well, and JT Tuimoloau took that to a whole new level by actually not talking to anyone except for one person. And so, Larry likes to work that way, and I think their personalities fit. I think that's one of the more underrated things here is it's not just about Larry Johnson's ability to get JT Tuimoloau to the NFL. It's the way he conveys his message. It's the way he coaches. It's the way he teaches, and it's just the way he carries himself. I think, we haven't gotten to talk to JT Tuimoloau, but it seems from the outside that they kind of mesh together well. We know enough about Larry Johnson where they kind of fit, and so it's going to be very interesting to see how well he can resonate with JT Tuimoloau beyond a recruitment. Because if he resonates well with him, it's going to mean a dominant 3 years on the defensive line for JT Tuimoloau. And I'm going to keep saying 3 years because if JT Tuimoloau is at Ohio State for 4 years, something has gone terribly wrong.
Yeah, he certainly has all of the potential and all of the upside to be a 3-and-done player, even though he won't, get on campus until a month before the 2021 season starts, really. So it just goes to speak to what type of talent he is and why Ohio State was willing to fight this battle as long as they fought it. And I think it just goes back to what you said earlier, Spencer, and it's one of the things that JT Tuimoloau said after his Ohio State official visit in his interview with Brandon Huffman, who, side note, kudos to Brandon Huffman. That was a masterful job done by him, the 247 Sports, guy from the Seattle area in the last year and a half. Well done, Brandon. Congratulations on owning that story. But after the visit to Ohio State, JT said that Ohio State was just authentic, period. And there was nothing, and that the Buckeyes have done this so well in the last handful of years that I don't think people really understand what that means sometimes. But there's no fluff. And even the thing that Ohio State did, meeting him at the airport wearing the Polynesian shirts, which is very uncharacteristic for them. It feels a little, I don't want to say gimmicky, but it certainly was different for what Ohio State does because they knew that they needed to just do something different. Once that arrival happened at the airport, there was no gimmick anything. It was all just sit down conversation, get to know each other, get to know us as a family, get to know you as a family. And that ultimately is what won this battle. And that's why JT Tuimoloau is now the final piece of the Ohio State class of 2021, and a pretty darn big one.
Absolutely. And like we keep saying, he's going to have an immediate impact. This is not a recruitment that ends with, possible red shirt or, a guy who could see the field a little bit from time to time in a blowout of Akron. This is a guy who, when Ohio State takes the field against Oregon, the school Ohio State just beat for JT Tuimoloau, you could see him on the field against Oregon and against Minnesota in that season opener. He's that special of a talent. And that says a lot for a guy who's going to be just getting on campus in July and only have a month and a half in the program before the ball hits the foot.
There will be a lot more talk about JT Tuimoloau at lettermenrow.com. But for now, Buckeyes fans can celebrate. That's Spencer Holbrook. I'm Jeremy Birmingham. Thanks for watching.